Big news that dropped this week. UFC moving to Paramount in 2026. Everything you need to know from price to plans and how to watch. So guys, let's talk about this. So if I'm right in saying they're not going to be doing the traditional pay-per-views every month or twice a month anymore. They're going to do the odd one here and there from what Dana's saying. And they'll be doing a subscription plan moving forward, which is supposed to save the viewers in America, because obviously it doesn't change for us, money each month. I think it's about £1,000 difference, which is big if you're a supporter of the sport and you watch every week. It's a big difference to your pocket.
That's a difference.
Because I know if I had to pay that, brother.
That was a criminality laugh. See that Pinky and the Brain type take over.
It'll be crime season, bro.
Pinky and the brain.
You get me? But yeah. So I think when I first saw this, I just thought of the many. There's pros and cons to it.
Go on.
But the first thing that came to mind when I thought about this was, is this going to affect the quality of the pay-per-views or the big events that we get throughout the year? Because because obviously pay-per-views was the incentive for the UFC to try to put on the best card as possible to gain as much money as possible. Whereas if you're getting upfront money, what is the incentive to keep that quality? Obviously, Paramount not gonna want you to, but other than spoken words, what's the incentive to make you do that?
Let me answer that first. The incentive is Dana personally, and he's drive for the sport and the drive for what he is, and he's not gonna let it fail. He's not gonna let his baby fail.
Dana's not been on the best of forms throughout the last couple of years.
I was just about to get into that with what you're gonna say. I can totally agree with you, but it's like anything, yeah. What you gotta understand is Dana's done well since in the last 20 years of the sport becoming what it's become. And yeah, there's been many changes, some for the better, some for the worse, but overall the sport has absolutely grown. And I think you got to look at the perspective of the whole of the start of when Dana, where he was at and where he's at now, what he's done and where he's trying to go. And I still think he's growing because he's doing stuff with TKO and boxing. YouTube sat here and was like, oh, he's lost it. He's going over there. He's done with UFC. I still don't believe that. I believe this is his baby. He wants this to still be number one in a point where he still, because look, he does slap league. And I don't think that affects the UFC. I just think what happened is the UFC had that high, that real high. You know when the stock market's puts on roids, bro. You know when it's on roids, but it's got to crash. You got to calm down. You get me? And I feel like it's going through that end of the calm down, and it will go back like that. But this is not a thing where it stays low. This is not a sport because of the way the sport is. You get 2-3 superstars out of nowhere, boom, 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 and the sport moves fast. So you can have a month of consolidation, as you know, months. But when you hit that boom, the boom's going to be crazy again. And that's because just the way the sport is. It's a mixed martial arts sport. It's crazy. It's a wild sport. And I feel like they're going to be able to do more things now, not just with it being pay-per-view. It's going to be more open maybe to him doing stadiums and having more open ideas and plans to get money elsewhere as well. Maybe even Turkey can get involved in this deal somehow with the way it's a bit more open and it just being directly pay-per-view and rigid to how they had it on their last deal with ESPN.
Yeah. No, fair. I hear that. I think the amount of money it being purchased for the deal, 7.7 billion, is crazy considering the price of the actual company that bought it is less than that. So that obviously tells me that they believe in what they're doing.
There you go.
Yeah, that tells me they have to, bro.
Thank you.
Because that's crazy work.
They've just put everything on black.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
In terms of obviously, because I think the last deal they got from ESPN was 1 billion. So this is 7 billion.
7.7.
7.7, 1.1.
Basically 8 billion, bro.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
1.1.
Yeah. How does this money trickle down now throughout the sport, fighters and whatnot? Because if there's no pay-per-view now, how does that affect the higher end fighters, and how does this affect the lower end fighters? Because my first view on this, when I saw it, lower end fighters, you'll probably get a bump in pay.
Yeah.
You might not get 7 times because they make 7 times what they got last time, but they might double it. But like, how is this gonna affect the top end fighters now? How do they negotiate their contracts and what they're gonna get paid? It's interesting. That would be interesting to know.
Yeah, and I think that's what the disparity is between boxing and MMA. Anyway, it's the top end really. Top end guys in boxing get paid a lot more than MMA. But yeah, fighters will be well compensated. The UFC I think actually do quite a good job at paying their fighters, middle and low end. But that will obviously improve. I think the point that you made about being more stadium fights and stuff like that will happen. I think next year we will see the Bernabeu. I think next year we could quite possibly see Africa as well. And like new territories, like the UFC is always keen to go and expand and go to new territories. I think they're going to do a lot more of that. And what you said, Rims, again, the cards will just be slightly thinner week on week. But then at the same time, you're going to see better fights week on week. So at the top end of the card, there'll be a good fight every week, but then the cards will be thinner. The only cards that will be insane next year, there'll be some insane cards, but like from start to finish will be the White House card. And that was kind of similar when we had 300.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not too far off of that. I think that what happens though as well, you're going to have thinner cards, but it's this is a sport again. When you're a real fan, you look for talent, innit? Where we look for talent, we see talent early, like, and we'll try to seek it out and be like, oh, he's good. So for us, it shouldn't be too boring. Like, if you're a real mixed martial arts fan, you're gonna see new talent come through and try and gaze on who they are. And
how many times do we sit down and say that the prelims this week were better than the main card?
There you go. It happens all the time.
Yeah,
So
all the
there
time.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, we just want these fights to become stars because it makes the stardom of the sport so much it just enriches it, like makes it feel like it has more value, makes us want to run to the seats and not be late for anything. And do you know what I mean? And I get that, but like I said, this thing's a market. It goes up, you have bull runs, and it goes down, and shit consolidates, and you know what I'm saying? And like I said, every sport goes through it. I think NFL's gone through it where it goes up and down. Football's gone through it. Look, last season people saying the season was boring for whatever reasons. Yeah, people used to say, "Oh, last season was boring."
This season than I've ever been in a long time.
Calm, I'm talking about last season when it ended. Everyone said the season was boring. Yeah, and then so fans are fickle. Always remember that, bro. If you don't get your way, you're just gonna say your point.
Yeah.